North versus South Thornton. Let's talk about it. The long-standing question you're considering when it comes to purchasing out here in Thornton, Colorado, moving, or just understand what it looks like from the inside perspective, you are in the right spot. Hi, my name is Jessica Arguello. I'm a Colorado realtor. If you're in need of my services, looking to relocate, or just have any additional questions, comments, concerns, please utilize me as a resource. My info is down below. Reach out anytime. The biggest question that most are Googling and asking themselves when looking to move to Thornton is, where is the best place to establish yourself, your family, and the biggest question of all, your best return when it comes to equity. Do you go north or do you go south? And the investment if you're looking at purchasing. As we go into like a deep dive of this question, let's look at the map for reference. While you're looking at Thornton, Colorado from a bird's eye, you'll notice that it is all east of I-25. The furthest south it goes is going to be right around 88th, as well as the highest point it reaches is going to be 168th north. It is somewhat inside the E-470 corridor, which allows easy access to all Colorado state highways, the biggest one being I-25, which runs north and south. Also understand that if you're moving to Thornton, all of the new developments, newer homes, and really big master plan communities are going to be anything typically north of 120th. What does that mean to you? Anything south of 120th is going to be probably a little bit more dated and older. You're going to find homes typically within the age range of 1970s and onwards in the southern part of Thornton. Most of the city was developed, and most of the homes that were built after that, you can expect all of the big ticket items to be kind of not an issue, such as lead-based paint, asbestos, as well as like cast iron clay piping, which is all big questions that you should be asking yourself if you're buying anything older than 1978, because everything was kind of annexed at that time. So Thornton wide, it's nice that you don't really have to worry about those big ticket items if you go to buy the home, occupy it, and live in it. The more south you live in Thornton for school purposes, you're going to be in Mapleton Public School District. Adams 12 is also a very prominent school district and one of the biggest ones throughout Thornton, and it spreads east-north throughout the entire city. In a lot of the newer developments and closer to the east side of Thornton, you're going to find that most of those are in district boundaries for 27J. While this may mean nothing to you now, understand this is definitely a talking point that you should consider when it comes to how long you see yourself living in the home and for resale purposes, because schools are definitely a factor out here in such a suburban feeling city. Questions about schools, I always kind of push my clients to utilize greatschools.org. It's a great platform to either side-by-side compare, understanding in a city that you're maybe not familiar with what those schools look like, and understanding the perks of different districts such as Adams 12 and 27J. Let's talk about some other important factors that you should be considering when living in the southern part of Thornton. Let's talk about the fun ones, of course, like the vibe. Typically, you're going to find a little bit more established homes, mature trees, your typical brick ranches, tri-levels, and even some bi-level builds, if you're familiar with that type of home. Sitting on the southern part of Thornton, you are also much closer to Denver and the amenities that come with that. But don't let that be a tipping point by any means. You're still about 10 to 15 minutes, or you can be prepared to add that if you consider living on the northern part. So definitely not a big sway or deal breaker if you live on the southern part. Understand with established neighborhoods for housing purposes, living in the southern part of Thornton does just have you more buying power. You are buying into older homes, typically built between 1970s and the 2000s. And this does offer a ton of more affordable options when it comes to single family homes, townhomes, as well as condos. And even for like my first time home buyers, I always state, if you're ideally looking at purchasing in Thornton, you are just going to get more bang for your buck if you look in the southern part of the city. I'm going to give you a little bit of a pro tip here. Southern part of Thornton, you're just going to have much lower taxes, and that's across the board. If you're considering buying in a newer development or a newer home, I would say typically anything that was built after 2017, you can 100% be prepared to pay higher elevated taxes. You are typically attached to a metro district tax, which encompasses its own annual increases and talking points. Thornton growing so rapidly in older areas like the southern part of Thornton, you do just get a little bit tighter neighborhoods. And by that, I mean the streets can really feel just a little bottlenecky and congested, like during peak hours, or maybe you're having family over. It tends to have like that very congested feel. If you go, say, like when someone's having a party on the block, you can definitely see it because the streets are just much more narrow, small, and you could just tell a lot more. Understand you also may potentially be having to do a little bit more maintenance and potentially upgrades if you're considering buying in the southern part of Thornton. Thornton is growing so rapidly, and when I reference growing, I mean it is very much leaning into the northern part of Thornton, and we are seeing a ton of new master plan communities, developments yearly, and you really just get that suburban feel. So for anyone really looking at taking advantage of all Colorado offers, the elements, hiking, position yourself a little bit closer to Boulder, this is an incredible time to buy and place to kind of situate yourself. Most of these homes, again, you're going to find are 120th North to the top part of Thornton, which extends all the way out to 168th. Most of these homes in the northern part of Thornton are built after the 2000s, where you'll find a lot of open concepts, a lot of open floor plans, and homes a little bit more energy efficient wise when it comes to like insulation, the roofing, structure, foundation. In the northern part of Thornton, you do have a vast and ton of new build options to consider. Most of these homes are just very forward thinking when it comes to like smart features and updates throughout. Why people love living in this area is because of the updated infrastructure in the northern part of Thornton. You'll find that the streets are just a little bit bigger, allowing more vehicles to come and go. Something to consider if you are really wanting to position yourself in the northern part of Thornton is you are just a little bit further from downtown. There are fewer establishments and walkable amenities in the area compared to the southern part. You're still not finding a lot of people really rely on public transportation. So just understand, regardless of northern or south, you want to just really rely on a vehicle. My bottom line recommendation is if you go north and you really swing it, there's definitely an overwhelming consensus from Reddit, real estate guides, and crime data. Typically, I'll find that buyers looking to relocate here in Thornton specifically have much less regrets when buying in the northern part versus the southern part. This does really just ideally come down to what you're looking for in a neighborhood. But also something that I think is important to know is you're just going to gain a little bit faster and long-term value buying in the newer parts of Thornton. And that's just statistically nothing against the southern part at all. And I find that a lot of buyers that are looking, it just really depends on what their lifestyle entails. Do they have kids? Do they not? But if you have any specific questions in regards to Thornton in general, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's why I'm here. I've grown up in Thornton my entire life, and it's somewhere I choose to raise my family. So if that speaks to the area at all, just know that it's a great place to live. It really does ideally just come down to what you're looking for and what you're looking to gain. As far as long-term value and appreciation, you do just gain it a little bit faster in the northern part. Thornton crime is about 17% down for the northern part. This is in reference to violent crimes as well as petty theft and property crimes. Consider going south if your budget is potentially a little bit tighter and it really prioritizes your proximity to Denver and access there. I would potentially check recent crime apps like crimegrade.org if you're finding yourself in an area that proposes a question of safety and concerns. Hopeful this was helpful. If you have any specific questions, please don't hesitate to reach out at any time. And understand that Thornton is somewhere that I've even chose to raise my family. I've grown up here and I know the ins and outs like nobody's business. If you have any specific questions about this incredible city, feel free to reach out at any time. I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.